PhD student at the University of Sheffield. I'm in my second year of study, and I'm here carrying out my field research on the great green macaws. It's important because no one's really done any in-depth study on the great green macaws, especially the kind of stuff that we're interested in. What I'm looking at is we're looking at if we can use technology to help us get a really accurate population estimate of the great green macaws. It's very difficult to get accurate population estimates for macaws. They're so wide-ranging, they travel in groups, so they don't really adhere to the rules of any of the other counting methods that we use for other species, such as small passerine. So we're trying to use autonomous microphones to see if we can get a better handle on the numbers. I did a biological sciences undergraduate degree, and then I have worked for the RSPB in the UK, which is a bird conservation charity. I then worked in Mauritius, which is another bird conservation charity, working on projects very similar to this, reintroducing bird species and monitoring them in the wild. I then did a master's degree, and then I came out to Costa Rica 3.5 years ago. I'm passionate about restoring wildlife populations, not only because I think it's our moral obligation to do so, but it also helps us. Biodiversity helps us, and it doesn't necessarily need to be at the expense of one or the other. These areas in Costa Rica where we work, we have people and wildlife living together, not quite harmoniously, and that's what we're working towards. It's an example of where we can get to in the future if we carry out decent research and enact good conservation. I came to work in Costa Rica with MRN kind of by accident. When I was doing my master's, I was looking for the next thing to do, and there was a job posted on there for the release site manager for the Macaw release project. So I applied for that. Excuse the monkeys. I applied for that, and yeah, here I am. During my time in Costa Rica, I've been lucky enough to live and work both on Guanacaste in the dry forest and here in the northern Caribbean jungle. So I've got to experience some really different environments, and you see different species here. And in the breeding centre, we're working with both scarlets and great greens in captivity, but only scarlets in the wild. So you get to see those scarlets up close, and their released birds are not as fearful as the wild birds. So you learn some really interesting things about their intimate behaviours with each other. Also here in the Caribbean, you learn more about actually what the wild behaviours are like, and the interactions between both the scarlets and the great greens is really, really interesting, and their different kind of behaviours throughout the year and when they're breeding. It's really valuable for me as a scientist to see those kind of things up close as we're doing our work in the forest. Then on the personal level, living in Costa Rica, living and working here for nearly 4 years, living in the jungle in these environments, you learn a lot about yourself, what you can cope with, what you can deal with, and how you adapt to these different environments away from your creature comforts at home. So definitely a lot of personal development that's gone on since I arrived. So we're getting towards the end of the season here, and what's happening is the great green macaw chicks are fledging, scarlet chicks are fledging as well, but we're focusing on the great green macaw chicks. And recently I climbed to a nest that had 3 chicks. I think we saw it at the start of the season when Mario climbed there and saw the three little chicks. They all survived, and now they're fledging. I went up there and one had already fledged and 2 were getting ready to fledge, and it was an amazing thing because the little chicks there, they don't really know what they're doing, but they obviously know how to be a little bit defensive. They're pretending to be adults. So we've got a great photo that we can show you of these little chicks pretending to be big, brave, aggressive adult birds. They're not really. They're really little chicks that don't know what they're doing. But that was it's very entertaining to see them do that kind of thing. Thankfully now all those chicks have fledged, which is great, which is definitely one of the best feelings towards the end of the season. these times are unprecedented, and really no one really knows how to act them. Being out here in the jungle, we kind of feel a little bit detached, even though things are now coming towards us. We're getting restrictions and it's impacting the team because people are having to go home, etc. But I think what's really come out of our contact with people at home is the importance of community, and how actually in these times we're using these technologies that we have to really shore up that community and take advantage of those people who we have to rely on.